My phone buzzes at 12:30 a.m., jerking me from a dreamless sleep in an unfamiliar Phoenix hotel room. I fumble across the nightstand, knocking over a plastic cup of water before my fingers close around the vibrating device. The screen glows harsh in the darkness. Front door opened. My stomach drops as I sit bolt upright, fully awake now. The smart home alert stares back at me, matter of fact, as if it hasn't just sent ice water through my veins. I'm 800 miles from home on a work trip, and according to my security system, someone just walked through my front door. I swipe through to the app, fingers trembling slightly, checking for other notifications. The system shows only the door opening, no motion detected inside, no other alerts. My first thought is a glitch, but deep down, I know better. Systems like this don't just malfunction in such specific ways. Only one other person has keys to my house, my mother, Carol. She stopped by 3 days ago to water my plants while I'm away. There's no reason for her to be there at midnight. My phone buzzes again with a text. For a split second, I think it's Carol explaining herself, but it's just my coworker confirming tomorrow's client meeting. I set the phone down, but sleep feels impossible now. The next morning, a text from my mother arrives as I'm getting dressed. "Everything's fine, honey. Double-checked yesterday." I stare at those words, the casual timestamp of yesterday, contradicting what my security system reported. She hasn't been to my house in the middle of the night, at least not according to her. This isn't the first time I've caught my mother in a lie. Growing up, Carol had a habit of borrowing my things without asking: clothes, jewelry, even money from my first waitressing job. "We're family," she'd say whenever I confronted her. "What's yours is ours." The irony doesn't escape me that now, at 31, I pay for my parents' internet, help with their mortgage when they fall short, and cover the car insurance they can't afford. Yet they never miss an opportunity to criticize my career choices, my single status, the size of my house. So much space for just one person, Elodie. Just last month, my sister Danielle called with another emergency, her fourth this year. Her kids needed new tablets for school, she claimed. When I suggested less expensive alternatives, my parents didn't speak to me for a week. The silent treatment, their favorite weapon since my childhood. I take a deep breath and call Carol directly. "Mom, did you go to my house last night? I got an alert that my front door opened around midnight." A pause stretches across the line before Carol responds, her voice deliberately light. "Oh honey, the app must be glitching. You work in IT, you know how technology is." My free hand, which had been trembling slightly against the hotel desk, steadies as her deflection confirms my suspicions. I screenshot the alert while we're still talking and save it to a secure folder on my phone labeled Evidence. I've started keeping records of these inconsistencies, though I'm not sure why. Protection, maybe. Validation that I'm not losing my mind. "That's strange," I say, keeping my voice even. "The system's never glitched before." Carol clears her throat. "Listen, I meant to tell you Danielle's kids need new school clothes. The fall semester starts soon, and you know how fast they grow." The subject change is so abrupt it almost gives me whiplash, but it's familiar territory. This is how every confrontation goes: redirect to someone else's needs, preferably Danielle's children, whom I adore despite everything. "I can't help right now, Mom," I say, surprised by my own firmness. "I've got back-to-back meetings all day." The silence that follows carries more weight than her words ever could. I'm violating the unspoken family contract. Elodie provides. Everyone else decides how much is enough. "We'll talk when you get home," she finally says, disappointment heavy in her voice. After we hang up, I stare at the security alert again. I have 2 more days in Phoenix before I fly home. Whatever happened at my house last night, I intend to find out myself. I've spent years being the responsible one, the provider, the peacekeeper. But some boundaries shouldn't be crossed, even by family, especially by family. After the business trip was over, I returned home. My key slides into the lock with a familiar click. After 3 days in Phoenix and a flight delay that stretched my nerves thin, all I want is the comfort of my own space. I drop my luggage in the entryway, kick off my shoes, and collapse onto my living room couch with a groan that comes from somewhere deep within my tired body. Something hard jabs into my lower back. I shift, reaching beneath the cushion, expecting to find the television remote, or perhaps a pen that slipped through the cracks. My fingers close around fabric synthetic and stretchy. I pull it out. A fishnet stocking dangles from my hand. "What the hell?" I mutter to the empty room. The stocking isn't mine. I've never owned anything like it. As I examine it with growing unease, My hand dips back under the cushion and encounters something else. Something made of firm silicone, with an unmistakable shape. I yank my hand away as if burned, then force myself to reach back in and extract what I already know is there. An adult toy. In my couch. My stomach lurches. I drop both items onto the coffee table and spring to my feet, suddenly desperate to check the rest of the house. I move from room to room with growing dread, searching for signs of forced entry, broken windows, splintered door frames, ransacked drawers. But everything looks normal. Too normal. Almost deliberately so. The truth slams into me with nauseating clarity. Someone with a key has been using my home. In the kitchen, I yank open the dishwasher, intending to unload it before unpacking. 3 wine glasses stand in the top rack, each bearing a distinct crescent of lipstick in various shades. I never wear lipstick. I live alone. These aren't my glasses, though. They're certainly from my cabinet. The longer I look, the more I notice. Furniture slightly askew from its usual position, a faint stain on the carpet I don't recognize, the lingering scent of unfamiliar perfume. Each discovery sends another pulse of violation through me. On the counter near the fruit bowl, a small stack of business cards catches my eye. They're cream-colored with a minimalist design, a simple circle in burgundy with the words Renewal Circle beneath it. I flip one over and my breath catches. The handwriting on the back is unmistakable. Carol's looping cursive noting dates and times. Tuesdays 8 p.m. and special session, Friday 10 p.m. My mother's handwriting. My mother's gatherings. In my house without my knowledge. I move toward my bedroom, dreading what I might find but needing to know. The pillows on my bed are arranged differently than how I left them. I always place them symmetrically, but now they're casually tossed against the headboard. The duvet is perfectly smoothed, neater than I typically make it. In the master bathroom, I find a receipt tucked behind the tissue box. Sunrise cleaning service, scheduled for tomorrow, 2 p.m. I didn't schedule any cleaning service. Someone has been intimate in my personal space, my sanctuary. The thought makes my skin crawl. This isn't just about unauthorized entry. It's about what they've done here, who they've brought, what activities they've conducted in my most private spaces. I sink onto the edge of my bathtub, mind racing through potential damages, thefts, or legal liabilities. What if someone was injured here? What if illegal activities took place? My name is on the deed, the mortgage, the insurance policy. The emotional toll hits me in waves. This betrayal comes from the very person I financially support, the mother who criticizes my life choices while apparently exploiting my absence. If Carol would do this, what else might she be hiding? How long has this been happening? Most unsettling of all, strangers have been in my home. They know my layout, my belongings, my private spaces. They've seen my family photos, used my shower, slept in my bed. The thought makes me shudder. I straighten, a sudden clarity cutting through the fog of betrayal. My IT background has prepared me for this moment without my realizing it. Within an hour, I've ordered cloud-connected cameras with motion detection and night vision. The small devices can be discreetly installed in common areas, sending alerts directly to my phone. As I place the order for overnight delivery, a question plagues me. Should I confront my mother immediately with what I've found, risking her denial and cover-up? Or should I gather more evidence first, knowing each day might mean more strangers in my home? What would you do when the person you're supposed to trust most has betrayed your confidence? I stare at my phone, thumb hovering over Carol's contact information, and make my decision. A week after the cameras arrived and were installed, I went on another business trip. On Tuesday, the first camera alert pings at 2 in the afternoon. Carol enters through the front door, glancing over her shoulder before stepping inside. I watch from my hotel room, laptop balanced on my knees, as my mother moves through my living room with the confidence of ownership. She straightens picture frames, I purposely left at slight angles before leaving town, waters the plants that don't need watering, opens my curtains wider, adjusts my throw pillows, and repositions my coffee table books into a perfect fan pattern. The familiarity of her movements tells me this isn't her first unauthorized visit. Checking on things, huh? I mutter to the screen, watching her meticulous preparations. The next evening brings a flurry of alerts that pull me from a client dinner. I excuse myself, claiming a work emergency, and duck into the restaurant's quiet hallway to watch my security feed. 6 people I've never seen before follow Carol through my front door, each carrying duffel bags. 2 women bring bottles of wine. A tall man hauls what looks like folding massage tables. My stomach clenches as they make themselves at home. One woman immediately dims my living room lights while another connects her phone to my speaker system. Soft music fills my house. My house as these strangers begin rearranging my furniture, pushing my sofa against the wall and rolling up the area rug. I lean against the restaurant wall, legs suddenly wobbly as I watch a man I've never met, casually moving my grandmother's antique side table to make room for whatever they're setting up. Everything okay? My client appears beside me, concern etched on his face. Fine, I lie, forcing a smile. Just a small issue with my home security system. Small issue. As if watching strangers make themselves comfortable in my personal space is a minor inconvenience, like finding ants in the kitchen. Back in my hotel room that night, I can't tear my eyes from the live stream. A woman lounges on my couch wearing only a silk robe, while others walk around in various states of undress. They touch my things, drink from my glasses, leave lipstick marks on my wine stems. One man picks up the framed photo of my college graduation and examines it before setting it face down on the shelf. Sleep becomes impossible. During my presentation the next morning, I stumble over basic information I've presented dozens of times. Numbers blur on spreadsheets. Client questions require repeated clarification. My boss shoots concerned glances my way when I lose my train of thought mid-sentence. "Are you coming down with something?" he asks during our lunch break. What would I even say? Sorry, I'm distracted because my mother is running some kind of adult pajama party in my house while I'm away. The absurdity of it all hits me, along with the humiliation. Who could I possibly tell? My friends would be horrified not just at Carol's behavior, but at my inability to establish basic boundaries with my own mother. That evening brings the most devastating footage yet. Carol stands by my front door, accepting cash from each person who enters. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, counting bills before tucking them into an envelope. $20, $40, $60 per person. The realization that my mother is profiting from this unauthorized use of my home hits like a physical blow. I sit alone in my hotel room, nursing a lukewarm cup of coffee, wondering how many times this has happened before I installed cameras. How long has my home been Carol's personal profit center? The weight of this betrayal presses against my chest until I can barely breathe. The next morning at the client's office, I find a fresh coffee on my desk with a folded note. "Whatever battle you're fighting, you've got this, Jim." The simple gesture from a coworker who barely knows me brings unexpected tears to my eyes. My first genuine smile in days feels foreign on my face. That night delivers the final confirmation I need. My phone buzzes with new alerts, and I watch Carol giving a tour to 3 newcomers. They move through my living room into my dining room, then my kitchen. I increase the volume to catch her words. "My daughter has no idea," Carol says with a dismissive wave. "She's always working, hardly uses this beautiful home anyway. Such a waste for just one person." One of the guests asks a question I can't quite hear. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Carol answers proudly, as if she's the realtor who sold it. The master suite has the most wonderful soaking tub, perfect for our relaxation exercises. My fingers shake as I reach for my phone, but not from fear or uncertainty. Something inside me solidifies into resolve. I search for the non-emergency police number in my contacts and press call. "Hello, I'd like to report unauthorized use of my property," I tell the dispatcher, my voice steadier than it's been in days. 20 minutes later, Officer Martinez calls me back. I explain the situation, including the camera footage and my mother's possession of spare keys. "Miss Brennan," she says after I finish, "what they're doing is trespassing regardless of family relationship. Being your mother doesn't give her the right to use your home without permission, especially not for organized gatherings where money changes hands." The validation in her matter-of-fact tone lifts a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying. All these years of Carol's small boundary violations, borrowing without asking, criticizing my choices, demanding financial support have led to this moment. The pattern was always there. I just didn't want to see it. "I can meet you at your house when you return home," Officer Martinez offers. Sometimes having law enforcement present helps keep these situations from escalating. "I'd appreciate that," I say, realizing I don't have to handle this alone. The next morning, my boss stops by my hotel room before our final client meeting. "We need you to stay through the weekend for the Harrington proposal," he says, not a question but an expectation. 6 days ago, I would have agreed immediately, rearranged my flight, and worked the extra hours without complaint. The reliable Elodie, Always available, always accommodating. I'm sorry, but I can't, I tell him, surprised by my own firmness. I have an urgent personal matter that requires my attention back home. While he processes this unexpected boundary, I return to my laptop. I create a document with timestamps of each unauthorized entry, screenshots of Carol collecting money, and notes about what was moved or disturbed in my home. I label the file Evidence and save it to my secure cloud storage. My final discovery comes when I search online for Renewal Circle, the name on those business cards I found at home. Their website describes intimate healing sessions for couples and singles, with testimonials about reconnecting through touch and exploring sensuality in safe spaces. The membership fees listed are 3 times what Carol has been collecting at my door. My phone rings just as I'm closing my laptop to head to the airport. The caller ID displays Officer Castillo. Miss Brennan? We've received complaints of undisclosed surveillance at your property. Can you come to the station when you return? The tables have turned. I smile grimly as I pack my suitcase, ready for the confrontation awaiting me back home. As I booked the first flight back home, I arrived the next day. At the present, Officer Castillo sits across from me at my kitchen table, his notebook open, pen poised between thick fingers. The morning sun catches on his badge, sending small daggers of light across my wall. In the 20 minutes since his arrival, his expression has shifted from skeptical to attentive. Let me understand this correctly, Miss Brennan, he says, glancing up from his notes. You installed these cameras after finding the personal items in your home? I nod, keeping my voice steady as I pull up the footage on my laptop. I only place them in common areas: living room, kitchen, entryway. No bathrooms or bedrooms. My IT background serves me well as I navigate through the files. I have every right to monitor my own property. His eyebrows lift slightly as he watches strangers making themselves comfortable in my living room. And you were out of town during all of this? Phoenix, my second business trip. I fast forward to Carol, directing people where to set their bags. That's my mother, the only person besides me with keys. Officer Castillo's pen scratches against paper. And you never gave permission for these gatherings? Never. The word comes out sharper than I intended. My phone buzzes on the table between us. Carol's name flashes on the screen. I glance at Officer Castillo, who nods. Go ahead, put it on speaker if you don't mind. I tap the screen. Mom? Elodie, honey. Her voice fills the kitchen, artificially bright. There's a misunderstanding with the police. Just tell them you knew about it. It's easier for everyone. My eyes meet Officer Castillo's. 2BTO. His pen hovers over his notebook. Knew about what exactly, Mom? I ask, my heart hammering against my ribs. A pause stretches between us before Carol sighs. About using your house. Look, it started with my healing circle. They needed space, and your place sits empty most days. You work so much. Officer Castillo watches me carefully as Carol continues. Then other groups offered to rent it. They paid well. I didn't think you'd mind, especially with how much you help everyone else. Her voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper. Besides, some of that money went to help Danielle with the kids' school expenses. The confession lands like a stone in still water. Officer Castillo's eyebrows rise as he scribbles in his notebook. Mom, there's an officer here. You're on speakerphone. The silence that follows feels almost physical. I'll call you back, she finally says, voice tight. After she hangs up, Officer Castillo closes his notebook. Miss Brennan, what your mother did constitutes trespassing and unauthorized use of property, possibly fraud, depending on what she told these renters. He pauses, studying my face. Would you like to press charges? The question hovers between us, heavy with consequence. When Officer Castillo asked if I wanted to press charges against my own mother, I hesitated. Would legal consequences teach her respect for boundaries, or would it permanently destroy what little family relationship we had left? Some lessons come at a terrible price. I need time to think, I say finally. He nods, understanding in his eyes. Officer Martinez will help you document everything. The damage, unauthorized use, any missing items. After Officer Castillo leaves, Martinez helps me catalog the evidence: wine stains on the carpet, scratches on my coffee table, a broken picture frame. She photographs everything with meticulous care. My phone rings again, Margaret, my mother's friend from book club. Elodie, I just heard what happened. I'm so sorry. Her voice trembles. I saw Carol's posts about rental space, but I never realized it was your house. She called it her daughter's investment property. The betrayal cuts deeper, not just my mother's actions, but how public they've been. How many people knew before I did? Later, my father calls. I almost don't answer. "Princess," Thomas says, his nickname for me landing flat. "Your mother was just trying to help people. That circle helped her anxiety, and she wanted to give back. By renting out my home without permission, the anger I've been controlling breaks through. She went about it wrong," he concedes, "but her heart was in the right place." I hang up, too exhausted to argue. That evening, an email notification pops up on my phone. One of the Renewal Circle members has posted on neighborhood forums, apologizing for unknowingly participating in meetings at a private residence without the owner's consent. The message has dozens of shocked responses. Minutes later, Officer Martinez calls with news that makes me sit down hard on my kitchen floor. "Miss Brennan, thought you should know someone filed an anonymous tip with the IRS about undeclared rental income connected to your address." Her voice softens. "It's not aimed at you, but at whoever collected the money." As I thank her and end the call, I realize the ground beneath my family's feet is finally beginning to crumble. Next week, Marazzo's Italian restaurant bustles with Thursday night crowds, the kind of place where red checkered tablecloths and Sinatra classics create an illusion of warmth. My stomach knots as I spot them. My mother, father, and surprisingly, my sister Danielle huddled around a corner booth beneath amber pendant lights. There she is. Dad waves with exaggerated enthusiasm, his voice carrying above the clinking glasses. His weathered face stretches into a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. I thread between tables, hyper-aware of Mom's fingers drumming against her water glass, her gaze darting between me and the exit. A practiced performance of casual family dinner, except for the tension vibrating between them like a plucked wire. "You look tired, honey," Mom says the moment I slide into the booth. Classic Carol criticism disguised as concern. Long week. I keep my voice neutral while signaling the waiter for water. Danielle reaches across the table, squeezing my hand with theatrical affection. "So good to see you, Ellie. The kids have been asking about their favorite aunt. I haven't heard from my niece or nephew in months. Dad orders a bottle of Chianti without consulting anyone. Our treat tonight. We figured you could use a nice dinner after everything." "Everything?" I echo, watching Mom shoot him a warning glance. The waiter delivers breadsticks, and conversation shifts to mundane topics. Neighborhood gossip, Dad's golf game, Danielle's oldest starting soccer. I wait, picking apart a breadstick without eating it. They've orchestrated this gathering too carefully for small talk to be the purpose. 20 minutes in, Danielle finally drops the first hint. "Tyler needs braces. Can you believe they want $4,000 up front? With Travis between jobs again." Mom jumps in before I can respond. "We told her you might have suggestions. You're so good with finances." "Travis isn't between jobs," I say quietly. "He posts golf photos every morning at the country club. Membership there costs twice my mortgage." Silence crashes over the table. Dad's fork freezes halfway to his mouth. "That's different," Danielle sputters. "Networking is part of his job search." Mom leans forward, voice dropping. "Elodie, we're family. Families help each other." Her eyes darken with desperation. "We needed the money for Danielle's mortgage. The bank sent final notices." There it is, the confession wrapped in justification. "So you rented out my house." The words hang between us, undeniable now. Dad attempts recovery. "Your mother's renewal circle just needed space temporarily. Things expanded from there. Into a business," I finish for him, "using property that isn't yours." I pull out my phone, scrolling through screenshots with practiced calm. "You've been charging 8 different groups to use my home since January, at $200 per session twice weekly." Their stunned faces confirm what the evidence already told me. Danielle's husband hasn't worked in 11 months, but somehow affords green fees, new clubs, and last month's fishing charter to Catalina. I turn to my sister. "Did you know Mom and Dad were funding your lifestyle by renting out my house to strangers? Or did you just not ask where the money came from?" Danielle's face flushes crimson. "You don't understand." I understand perfectly. My voice remains steady as I pull a small notebook from my purse, flipping it open. I already pay for their internet, electricity, health insurance, groceries, and car insurance. I look directly at my parents. And you thank me by renting out my home to strangers? Mom's mouth opens and closes without sound. Dad stares into his wine glass. Danielle examines her manicure. The waiter approaches with entrees, hesitates at the tension, then silently distributes plates before retreating. You weren't supposed to find out, Mom finally whispers. That's your defense? Not that you're sorry, but that I wasn't supposed to know? I reach into my pocket, extracting the spare house keys I'd had made for them years ago when trust still existed between us. The metal catches the light as I place them deliberately on the table, then slide them away from Carol with one finger. Something in her snaps. You live in this big, beautiful house alone, she hisses. What are you even doing with all that space? Her words strike deeper than she knows, touching old wounds about my worth being measured by marriage and children. But they don't land with their usual sting. That space is mine, I say, my voice low but firm. Paid for with my work, my sacrifices, not yours to give away. Dad places his hand over Mom's, always the peacemaker after she lights the fire. We're still your parents, Elodie. You owe us respect. A laugh escapes me, surprising us all. Respect is earned, and you've been withdrawing from that account for years. I stand, leaving my dinner untouched. The restaurant continues around us, couples celebrating anniversaries, friends sharing wine, families having normal Thursday dinners where love doesn't come with invoice attachments. Don't do this, Ellie, Danielle pleads, using my childhood nickname like a key to a lock that no longer exists. It's already done. I gather my purse. I've changed the locks and security codes. Officer Martinez will be present tomorrow when you return my furniture that you moved to your basement, Mom. Their shocked expressions would be almost comical if they weren't so painful. My phone buzzes as I walk to my car. A text from someone named Cheryl Winters. Miss Brennan, I was a Renewal Circle member and just learned we were meeting in your private home without permission. I've filed a complaint against Carol Brennan with the Consumer Protection Division. I'm still processing this when another call comes through an hour later, Danielle. Mom said she can't help with the mortgage anymore. She sobs without preamble. What am I supposed to do? The question hangs between us, her automatic assumption that solving her problems remains my responsibility. Before I can answer, my email notification chimes. From my realtor friend Lauren, market values in your neighborhood up 18% since purchase. If you're still considering options, let's talk. I stare at the message, feeling something unexpected unfurl in my chest. Not just anger or hurt, but possibility. Space to breathe that has nothing to do with square footage. But I am determined. I will sell my house and start over. In 6 months, I will build something new without my family. The morning sun pours through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden patterns across bamboo flooring. I selected myself. My Sedona condo feels nothing like my old house, smaller, warmer, intentional. 6 months have passed since I sold my spacious suburban home, using the proceeds to purchase this sanctuary, tucked against red rock formations. I run my hand along the kitchen counter, appreciating its smooth surface without anyone commenting how it's wasted on someone who barely cooks. The enhanced security system glows green in the corner, a silent guardian that now protects a space truly my own. Tonight marks my third weekly dinner with neighbors from down the hall, Jeff and Lydia, retired teachers who ask questions and actually listen to my answers. Marissa from the art gallery, who never questions why a woman would live alone. People who accept boundaries as naturally as breathing. You seem lighter, Marissa told me last week, her silver-streaked hair catching the sunset, like you set down something heavy. She was right. I'd carried the weight of others' expectations so long I'd forgotten how straight my spine could be without it. My phone buzzes against the coffee table. Carol's name illuminates the screen. 6 months ago, my hand would have darted for it immediately, stomach clenching with obligation. Now, I watch it vibrate until silence returns. No guilt floods my chest. No urgent need to respond scratches at my thoughts. Later, while chopping vegetables for dinner, I listen to her voicemail with the casual attention I might give a weather report. Elodie, it's Mom. Thomas isn't feeling well again, the doctor says. Her voice trails into familiar territory. I finish preparing my meal, noticing how my breathing remains steady, my shoulders relaxed. The message will still be there tomorrow, when I decide on my terms whether her crisis requires my response. The evening brings soft knocks at my door, as Jim arrives first, bottle of wine tucked under his arm. The coffee note that sustained me during my darkest days has blossomed into genuine friendship. Officer Martinez follows, now just Sophia, out of uniform but carrying the same straightforward warmth that validated my experience when everyone else questioned my reality. My new neighbors filter in, bringing dishes and conversation untainted by history. We gather around my modest dining table that somehow holds more genuine connection than my previous formal dining room ever did. Sophia raises her glass. To homes that are sanctuaries, not sacrifices. The words resonate through me as crystal clinks against crystal. When the doorbell chimes unexpectedly hours later, after guests have departed, I peer through the peephole to find Danielle standing alone, hands thrust into jacket pockets. Resembling the sister I knew before adulthood complicated everything. I open the door but remain in the threshold. "Can we talk?" she asks, voice stripped of its usual entitlement. "We can," I answer, stepping aside. "But this is about rebuilding trust, not money." Something flickers across her face recognition. Perhaps that relationships require foundations stronger than transactions. We settle on my porch swing, silence stretching between us before difficult words begin tumbling out. Her marriage troubles, her shame, my boundaries, old wounds and new possibilities. The conversation won't fix everything, but it's honest, something our family exchanged long ago for comfortable lies. Some people say I went too far by selling the house and moving away. Others say I didn't go far enough in cutting ties completely. But let me ask you, if your parents secretly rented out your home and funneled the money to your sibling, would you forgive them? Or walk away forever,